I want to do a quick little update to tell you about some news, upcoming things that are going to be happening through the rest of the year and in the first part of 2018. So I'm going to go ahead and move on and kind of talk about that while you watch me sculpt this little miniature here. But first, I wanted to go over a couple updates that I had, just news items that I wanted to share with you. Number one, I will be at Adepticon 2018 this year again. That's on March 22nd to 25th. And I'll be teaching sculpting classes. This time, I'm teaching 4 different ones. 2 of them are same subject matter that I did last year, which is kind of an intro to FIMO. And then the other one is sculpting faces. And then I'm also adding a class on sculpting hands. So I'll put the link down in the description, but head on over there and check it out. There's still some slots open for those, but if you're going to be at Adepticon and you want to take some sculpting classes, this is a great way and time to do it. The other huge news, and I'm incredibly excited about this, is I decided to exhibit at Adepticon this year. I have wanted to exhibit at a convention since I went to Gen Con the very first year it was in Indy. It's been a dream of mine. I've worked at booths for other people for many years, and I've really enjoyed it, but I've always wanted to go under my own power with my own creations, and I'm super excited that it gets to be for Adepticon because it's hands down my favorite convention. The people, the organizers, the attendees, everybody's so amazing, and best of all, it's purely focused on miniatures, which is obviously the biggest passion of mine. So I really hope you'll have a chance to come to the show and we can meet and stop by my booth, say hi. I'm going to try and be doing demos all weekend long as well, and I'd love to talk about sculpting with you. The next bit of news is I have been working on, and I just finished up a collaboration with a friend of mine named D. Forrest, who runs a webcomic at legendarysisters.com. It's this really cool Korean comic, webcomic, and we did a collaboration where he's doing a little mini comic that's in a little bit of a different flavor than his mainstream comic, but still in the same world. And I did 2 miniatures for that. And so he's going to be running a Kickstarter very soon for that. And I hope you guys will check that out. I'll also put that down in the description or up on a little card here, and you can click it and check it out. But I'm really happy with those miniatures and how they came out, and I love Dee's work, and I hope you will go check it out as well. The last thing I wanted to say is I just checked my dashboard on YouTube, and we have crossed over 9,000 subscribers. Literally, I think it was 905, and I'm just amazed. I mean, it was only a little over a year ago that the channel was only at 3,500 subscribers. I'm just blown away that it's nearly 3 times as big now, and I'm really excited for this coming year. With that said, I also hit a milestone for on the Patreon, and so I'm going to be creating some new armature cards specifically for dwarves, which beg the question. As you might see here, I recently picked up the Oathmark Goblins and Dwarf miniatures. These are really awesome plastic kits, and I also got the promo miniatures that came with it, and I really like them. And so this is kind of the question I'm going to pose to you guys, if you wouldn't mind sharing your opinions down in the comments. I'm kind of torn between what style I should do the armatures for and then go forward doing miniatures with. I really like these old Marauder style GW dwarves. They are what I grew up on, and I just have a real big soft spot in my head. But I have to say, I really like the kind of more realistic proportions of the new Oathmark dwarves. They're still small, they're still short and stocky. They don't look like they would be, pushovers or anything like that. Yeah. So leave a suggestion down in the comment. What do you think? Kind of more of a cartoony, old-style GW, or maybe a more modern, realistic proportioned, but still very mighty dwarf? All right, I'm going to move on to the video and tell you what kind of do a little review of the year and what I'm thinking about doing for next year. 2017's been a really interesting year. There's been some ups and downs, and part of that, I think, is because this is the first full year that I have not been sculpting full time. I've had a different job, but sculpting has still been a part of my life and something that I knew I needed to do and wanted to do. And trying to balance that is always a challenge. And so I was getting used to that again. I took a little hiatus from sculpting, except for some very minor things, once I left MegaCon. And so when 2017 came around, I just knew that I had to hit it hard and really start working at it. And that's why I decided to do the 100 days. And that was a tremendous success. It really helped me get back into the swing of things with videos. It helped me get back, it helped me sculpt again and kind of strive for a goal. It also helped that I was planning on doing a Kickstarter. But during that 100 days, I sculpted 7 miniatures, and those weren't even all for me, for my own line. They were for some freelance jobs as well. It got me painting miniatures again, something I haven't done in probably a decade, really, where I really tried to apply myself and get some things done. So that was an extremely important part of 2017. It really helped and got things kicked off very well. On the flip side of that, once the 100 days was over, I kind of fell off the wagon, so to speak. I still sculpted a little bit. I still painted a little, but I really lost that drive and incentive to sculpt the way I had been doing, which was part of the reason I did it. I wanted to build up into a habit to where I would just keep going the same capacity I had done before, and in theory maybe more, because I wasn't having to make a video every single day. But I still, and I had a big plan that I wanted to do, is I wanted to do a weekly update video, something that obviously I have not done. I've actually pretty much only been doing one mini sculpting super show video a month, and I'm glad I've been able to keep up with that, because that's, in this whole thing, everything I've done this year, the one thing I realized that I enjoy the most and want to keep doing the most above all things is to keep doing this show and keep teaching you guys how to sculpt miniatures so you can learn just as I had to when I first started. So that was a very good thing, but that was also a challenge of this year is just that having to fight through that, having such a great first quarter / half of the year and then really falling off until September came around, when I decided and announced that I was going to try Sculptember, which was basically kind of a miniature version of the 100 days. And with that, I in order to make sure I would have more time to sculpt, I decided not to do daily videos, but I had planned to do weekly updates, and I didn't do a single one. I actually filmed several, but I just, for whatever reason, I just couldn't bring myself to finish the video and put it out. It was just, there was too much going on, and I let it get to me. Some things changed at work and got busier, and I let that, and I wasn't taking the time when I did have free time to just work on sculpting. But I am still very glad that I did Sculptember. And I've been thinking of lots of different ways that I might do it again next year. Some changes that might make it more of an interesting and goal-oriented challenge. But that's for another time. But yeah, I did complete 2 miniatures. One was the Space Dwarf Merc for my son, Grayson. And that was a lot of fun and a very different kind of miniature than I normally do. And then I sculpted a little goblin that I've been sketching these guys for months and just really trying to hammer them down and figure them out, and I finally did, and I was so excited to knock this thing out. And I've actually started the second one, and I've got a ton more that I'm going to try and get done as well. So even though I didn't do super great, or I shouldn't say super great, I just didn't do as great as I had hoped for when I set out at the beginning of the year, I did get a lot done, and it also kind of taught me and gave me the chance to start playing and enjoying miniatures again, which, like I said, I hadn't really painted in a decade, and here I was, I painted several miniatures, still hardly anything compared to what a lot of people do, but it's like 1,000%, 6,000% more than I've ever done since I was a kid and first got into the hobby. But beyond that, I actually started gaming more. And actually I have to kind of shamefully admit this. One of the things that put me off of some of my goals was I ended up picking up the new 40K, and I spent a lot of my time that I should have been sculpting or would have been sculpting putting models together. I guess I shouldn't say should have, because part of what I want to do is I want to be modeling as well and actually playing and using these things. I don't just want to create it artistically. I want to enjoy it and be part of this hobby and community in that way. So I got the new 40K, put that together, played a few games so far with my kids. It's been a lot of fun. Man, it is very time consuming to build an army game. I'll say that. And I actually have only started to paint 2 of them, and they're only half my Space Marines, and they're only half finished. I guess I should probably finish those by the end of the year at least. I also played Test of Honor by Warlord Games. Really like that game. I actually like it. They're very different games, that and 40K, but I really like that game because it kind of feels like you're playing a larger game, but you don't need as many miniatures, and it just flows really well. And I just ended up breaking out a lot of old classics, board games and strategy games I like to play, like Axis and Allies, Risk, Mutant Chronicles, things like that, and just playing them with my friends and my kids, and I don't know, just getting back and making time for the fun. And really, in the end, I think what dragged me down was I wasn't making time for the fun enough. There would be too much going on at work, and then I would try and force myself to work more at night on my sculpting and everything, and it just felt like more work, so then I wouldn't want to do it. But every time that I've taken the chance to just paint a miniature or play a game, it actually tended to rejuvenate me. So I think in 2018, that's something I'm really going to have to look at doing more, taking the time to really do the things I enjoy and not just seemingly work all the time. Well, and goals help a lot too. Every time I had a goal, the Kickstarter, getting something ready for a show, it's always helps me. I've always done better when I've had a project. That's why, a lot of people say things like, should I go to art school? Should I not go to art school? Should I take this or not? Some people have the drive and the mindset to just do whatever's on their minds, and other people need a little more focus. So sometimes that's a class with assignments. Sometimes that is coming up with something very specific and sticking to it and having to drive to it. And that's the kind of person I am. I've got to, I find it very hard to just sketch random things or sculpt random things. I have to have a purpose for it beyond just noodling around. So I'd suggest that for you. If you find that you have trouble, just doing random things, try and come up with a very specific goal, make some deadlines, and give yourself a reason to strive to complete it. So looking back, actually, I guess I'd have to say that 2017 has been a really good year despite the pitfalls. I sculpted 13 miniatures, and we'll have a 14 done before the year is over. Got to start drawing a lot more, working on some fun illustrations there. And I have some really big plans for the Mini Sculpting Super Show next year and to keep it going and growing. So how about you? How was your 2017? How many miniatures did you sculpt? Did you reach your goals? Did you have trouble? Let me know down in the comments. I'm excited to read that and talk to you guys about that. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, keep sculpting.